What's up, guys? I am really excited right now. Why? Because I am standing at Halls Creek Overlook here in Capitol Reef National Park. Halls Creek standing out right behind me here. It's a big, huge wash and a gorge down here. It feeds way out to Lake Powell and the Colorado River, or what used to be the Colorado River, now Lake Powell, way out in the distance down Bullfrog Marina there. And I am going to be backpacking down the wash here about 8 miles to a place called Halls Creek Narrows, where the creek actually verges into a gorge where there's some narrows and some waders and possibly a swimmer. So we'll find out when we get there. See that tomorrow. Anyways, enough talking. Let's get on the trail. Here's a look at Brimhall Bridge. It's a double arch or double bridge down there from across Halls Creek here. I'm gonna make my way down to the wash, way down there. Here's a look at what I just came down from somewhere up there. The trail kind of switched back a bunch of rough boulders and finally made it down here in the wash. Made it down to the creek here. Here's a cottonwood tree. It's coming out to bloom in the bright, fresh, lime green leaves. I think if I had come a couple weeks later, all these cottonwoods down the wash would just be erupting in the fresh spring green. Passing a landmark here called Red Slide. There's a nice little hoodoo up there. There's a little cave up there. Here's the better of the hoodoos on Red Slide here. Really cool. Still got a long way to go. Still got to go way out that way. Look, we have our first flower sighting of the trip. I think I see light at the end of the tunnel here. Pretty much on the horizon there is where we start the loop into the Narrows. And then we can find a campsite, hopefully within the first mile up in the canyon there. It's been quite the walk to get to this point. Still got a little ways to go yet. Just crossed the creek and I think it's here to stay. It's been mostly a dry wash up to this point with occasional pools of water at some crossings, but yeah, it's a little bit of a flow in this one, and I think it's gonna stay the course now. I love it when you hit these cuts in the rock and the water just goes right up to the bottom edge there. So cool. Alright, now we got a legit creek going on. I think I've about hit the junction, finally. Or at least the fork where you can go start the loop and go left that way, or go straight up into the narrows here on the right, which is what my plan is. So, shouldn't have too much further to go from here. Finally feel like I'm about there now. Oh wow. It is going to be spectacular tomorrow. Alright, I've made it up to a spot that I think I'm going to call home for the night. I am close to where I wanted to camp. I actually wanted to camp down there on the flat behind me, but you know, it's taken, so I am going to have neighbors tonight. Actually, they were here first, so I talked to them. They're from Oregon, and they were okay with me camping in the area, so I found a space a little further up here on the other side of the creek. So should be a good night, and yeah, time to get the tent up. Got my campsite set up, and what a spot it is. Alright, back at camp after wandering around a bit. Good and hungry now, so I think it's a good time for dinner. Going for Mountain House sweet and sour pork tonight. Right, day 2 of this 3-day trip. Just getting breakfast ready here. Just had breakfast and now I'm gearing up for the big day ahead. Yes, today is the big day. Gonna be actually hiking down the actual narrows section here. It's not quite a full slot canyon, not that narrow, but does have a little like subway section and some other really pretty spots. And it's kind of nervous because in the past I know some other groups that down toward the end they had to swim a section. It was that deep. The neighbors I had down here, they just packed up and left, but they said that when they did it yesterday, the water never got more than knee high or a little bit above the knee for them in all the sections that you have to wade through. So I'm kind of excited about that. The fact that I don't have to worry about water coming up to my waist or up to my chest or worse yet, swimming. So looks like I may have picked a good time to come down here after all. Then again, the winter wasn't all that much this last winter, and so maybe the water flow is running a little lower than it normally does. But I also think it just changes with the floods. Depending on the flood, it can either blow out a sediment deposit or put a new deposit of sediment in, and I think it's those deposits of sediment wherever they land and settle that really determine how deep some of these waders can be, or even the swimmer sections. So anyhow, let's get packed up and get going. This trip I actually got one of these Pacific Northwest sea to sky little summit packs. Packs down this small, but I think it opens up to like 28 liters or something. And my favorite part is it's got little water bottle pockets on the side. That, and it's supposed to be waterproof. I don't know if I'd trust it submerging it, but we'll see. So it was a tough decision whether to keep the regular hiking shoes on or go with sandals. It's going to be cold water. Hoping it warms up quickly when I'm done with all the water waiting and get back out in the sun. But I am wearing some sealskin socks. They're kind of pretty much a type of neoprene sock, or at least they've got some kind of liner in there. They're not going to keep my feet from getting wet. They will still get wet and cold, but they should trap in a little bit more heat from my body, so hopefully my feet don't get too cold and can stay a little warmer than they normally would, but we'll see. This is a new experiment for me. All right, we're ready. Wow, it's about to get awesome. And I'm about to get cold feet because there's no other way but to get wet now. It's cold. The socks kept the feet warm for a minute, but it's cold. Woo! Woo! Guys, this is awesome. Some little fish swimming around in here. taking a little break here. Not quite sure how far up the Narrows I am. Or down the Narrows, I should say, because I'm going downstream. But just having a snack here, out and enjoying some sunshine, some warmth on the rock here. Look at this rock. Just cracked out right from there. Coming through a little subway section here. Guess this is the Halls Creek version of the subway. Not as dramatic as pictures I've seen of Zion Narrows and the Virgin River, but this will do. So you can get a sense of how much water can flood down here. All this stuff laying on the trunk of the tree here is all debris that gets thrown on the trunk and the floods come through. And yet, all that's flowing right now is a little trickle of a stream down in the creek down there. But this is all a floodplain we're walking on right here, and it can get as high up. That's your high water mark right there. It's a lot of water that can rip down here. We just bumped in to pair that was looking for each other yesterday. So looks like they found each other and all is well with them. So it was good. Actually chatted with them for a bit more and found out that they're from a area close to where I lived for a while. So that was neat. And they're making their way down as well. So I've also ran into another mom and her two sons, it looked like. And so other than that, it's been quiet, and it's been a pleasant, peaceful walk so far. So we've got lots yet to go. These walls are getting really tall. Nice little piece of petrified wood here. It's another nice big piece of petrified wood. Ooh, nice. All right, I think we're about to hit the narrowest part of the narrows here. Looking good. All right, so here comes a section that looks like it could get really deep, but hopefully it's not too bad. Everyone else has said that it's not deep at all. Really pretty though. It's a big school of fish here. These black streaks on the canyon walls is called desert varnish. Adds some nice contrast to the walls and a bit of flair. Really pretty. Well, all good things must come to an end. And right now, coming to the end of the Narrows here. About ready to exit the creek here and then head up to the rim. And then back down to camp. I think I've left the creek for good now. Can't quite tell if that's a cairn, but I'll take it. Alright, here's a real cairn. And the actual path goes way down there, but the shortcut was already beaten down. Didn't know if that was the right way or not, but it worked. And now we're heading on up and over. Got the Navajo sandstone, dome-shaped sandstone out there. And then if you follow the creek all the way out that way, you'll land in Lake Powell. I had plans to head out on the rim way back up there, but it's a lot bigger in scale than it looks on maps, as is typically the case. And this path's well trodden. This is the standard route, and it's getting on in the day, so I think I'm just gonna stick to the path here and take it easy. I'll save the rim for a return trip in a few years. Hopefully I get a opportunity to bring Jessica down or come down with some other friends at some point. Definitely worth doing this trip again, that's for sure. So I'm just gonna enjoy the views from the trail here and finish off this loop back to camp. Still not many flowers out yet, but there's a few. This big boulder in front of me is pretty cool. It's like big and round. Almost looks like the big ball in Indiana Jones. I think I just crested the high point of Halls Creek Divide, which is the name of this pass that I'm going over with the path here. And that makes it the high point for the day as well. So all downhill from here, at least back down to the creek. This reddish rock, reddish sandstone here, that's called the Wingate sandstone. If you look out the water pocket fold out on the horizon there, where it's the creamier, whitish, lighter colored sandstone, that is called Navajo sandstone. Well, that was cool. I just passed by a couple now back behind me and asked them if they were doing a loop or if they were heading down toward the lake. And actually heading over towards Stevens Canyon and Escalante area, which means they're actually doing the Hayduke Trail. And I asked them if they were doing a section of it or the whole thing. And they are doing the whole thing. That's what they're aiming for. So they started way up in Arches National Park, and they're already this far down. So that's pretty awesome. Good place to bump into some cool people. Not enough people to make it feel real crowded and noisy and everything, but enough people passing by and in the area to keep yourself from feeling too alone, which is sometimes nice when you're all by yourself, and in case something did go wrong, at least chances are somebody would pass by you within the day. That is, if for some reason I couldn't get help sooner through my inReach. Almost back down to the creek out here, where all the green cottonwood trees are there. Made it back to camp now. Woo! Really awesome hike. And what's also awesome is that flat out there is all wide open now. So I think I'm gonna go through the effort to move my camp a little flatter, definitely flatter over there. I was pretty comfortable here last night, but there's a slight slope to it on the flattest spot I could find back here, and should also be able to get some hopefully really nice photos with the tent in frame over there. So get packed up here and move on over. Well, I went ahead and moved camp. Hope it was worth it. Yep, it's spring break. No, I did not write that. Somebody before me did. I think it's time for a long overdue snack break. It's about 4:30 now, so I'm gonna break into some snacks and then just chill for a couple hours. Maybe take a few photos, probably do some reading, maybe even go ahead and take a little nap, and come out for dinner. What to do? Read some Edward Abbey? Or watch some YouTube videos? Maybe a little bit of both. Alright, dinner time. Tonight, I'm trying something new here. An experiment. I've got some ramen noodles. This pack is shrimp flavor. single serving of tuna fish with lemon pepper seasoning, and a good handful of dehydrated soup vegetables. This calls for 2 cups of water normally, but I'm gonna go 1.5 cups. I don't want it to be quite so brothy and liquidy. Of course, I poured 2 cups anyways. I like to break them up before I open it. Sodium. So after giving that a good stir, into the cozy it goes. And I'll just wait about 5-6 minutes or so. Alright, gonna see if my noodles are ready yet. I think my noodles are done, but the veggies are still rehydrating, so I'll let it sit for a few more minutes. Alright, time to see if they're ready. Not bad. The peas in that are still kind of hard, but I'm hungry, so it'll do. Morning, day 3, and I am watching a really pretty sunrise. Check it out. Today's the day I get to pack up and head back up to the car and go back to Torrey and see my family. They're going to meet me there and enjoy the next couple of days with them. So I had to hike up to the top of the hill above camp here and get a view from above. There I am, way down there. Absolutely stunning. It's a little baby barrel cactus. So here's some cryptobiotic soil, or simply crypto that I like to call it, in prime time action here on this hill, as it is definitely doing its job. As you can see, a lot of vegetation is taking root in it. The cryptobiotic soil harbors a lot of organisms and fungi and whatnot that help to protect the soil from erosion, and also provides a fertile place for all types of desert vegetation and flora to have a place to grow. So it's pretty important to the ecosystem, the desert here, to watch where you walk and try not to step on the actual crypto soil, because it takes a long time to rejuvenate and rebuild itself after it's been trampled upon. Of course, there's a little path that I'm on right now that I'm staying on, so almost stepped on this little guy. Found a pretty piece of flint near the campsite here. It's not every trip you get to walk all around camp barefoot. I like it. My worst nightmare. Scorpion. Alright, pretty much all packed up here, ready to get out of here. It's my Granite Gear Crown 260, and looks a lot more loaded than it should be. I don't know why it looks so loaded out, but that DSLR camera I brought along definitely adds some space inside and some weight. So yep, definitely a heavier load than I would normally like to take, but I felt it was worth bringing the new DSLR out on this trip, at least for the campsite shots. Hopefully it was worth it from some pictures I took last night. Alright, time to head on out, get back to the car. This looks like a skull face in the rock. So there's a cairn marking the turnoff to go up that crack there. That's a shortcut route. Kind of sketchy and exposed in spots. Would have been tempting to do it myself, but not alone, not being familiar with it. But I know of other people who have come down that way and then went through the trouble of going back up it. But it does save a few miles off the standard route, and there's an old airstrip up there from, I think, old uranium mining or some other mining back in the day. It's mostly grown over now, but there's still a road out to it that you drive up to and park there, and then just descend down that chute there. Here's Fountain Tanks. Pretty awesome view up here at Fountain Tanks down here. Busy day on the trail today. Alright, just finished a nice long break back here at Fountain Tanks behind me. Had some lunch and topped off some water. Nice refuel. Glad there was water there at the tanks. I didn't stop there on the way in because I was trying to get up to the creek as quick as I could and was fully loaded with water. Packing back down up the trail here back to the car, I didn't carry so much water with me leaving the campsite, so glad that gamble paid off, and there's plenty of water at the tanks back there. Relatively speaking, I don't have a whole lot further to go. In fact, another minute from now I'll be passing by a red slide, which is starting up right ahead of me here. Here's the red slide hoodoos. I just passed by Red Slide Cave, or at least that's what I'm gonna call it. I was tempted to drop the pack and scramble up the boulders, up the boulder slide up to it and check it out. If I had more time and the weather upstream from here wasn't looking so ominous, I'd probably give it a go, but I'm trying to hurry back and also wanting to do Brimhall Bridge up here before going back up to the car. And here we are, getting up close against the water pocket fold up here. One awesome, amazing piece of geology, a water pocket fold. Some pretty pigment, red Indian paintbrush with some purple leaves and stems. Well, I just pulled over for another quick little break here, get the pack off one last time. I am close enough to go check out Brimhall Bridge, and I really wanted to do it, but I'm making the decision to forego it for now, as close as I am. It's still about another mile up this little side canyon drainage here, and it's already after 2 o'clock. I'm not feeling the greatest. I still got this cough and hoarseness and, you know, a little bit of fatigue from fighting off whatever this illness is. So yeah, looking at the map, it's about another mile up canyon there, and if it was half mile or less, I'd probably give it a go, but I still want to check out Strike Valley Overlook, and there's some clouds looming around. Can't tell if it's gonna throw down some rain or not. Definitely doesn't look like enough to threaten any kind of floods, but could be enough if it wants to throw down some rain to make the road out of here pretty slick and slimy, and even four-wheel drive isn't enough to handle that kind of a thing. That's still no fun even with four-wheel drive. So I think I'm gonna just bail back up the cliff here and get it done and over with. So After all this time of carrying cough drops in my first aid kit, I'm finally going to use them. Keep coughing every time I pause for a rest or go to pull a camera out or anything else that stops my breathing for a second. And what do you know? These cough drops are Halls. So how fitting for being in Halls Creek. I've got Halls cough drops. There's the clouds hanging overhead here. So hoping they don't drop any rain before I get up the road. And there's a little drainage that leads up to Brimhall Bridge up in there somewhere. Up we go. Gotta take some switchbacks, traversing the side of this cliff all the way up to there. Car should be right over the lip of the rim up there. There's the trail way down there. I think I'm maybe halfway up. I think we are about up this thing. All right. We are done. Yes. Back at the trailhead. Ah, that's a nice sight right there. Woo! Yeah. Good hike. Well, guys, that's a wrap. What a trip that was. What a way to start off the backpacking season with a bang. Woo! But I am beat. Definitely feels like the first time out backpacking since last summer. Didn't get out to do much of anything in the fall last year like I'd normally do, just because of so many other things going on back then. Anyways, I'm glad to be back at the car. So bummed I didn't get to see Brimhall Bridge, but I think we're gonna have to schedule that another day and maybe just make a day trip down here and do a day hike down to it and back. Be fun. Anyways, gonna head back up the road and check out the switchbacks on the bird trail going up to Boulder. I'm just super excited and anxious to get back to Torrey and see my wife and kids who are going to meet me there at the in-laws. So should be a good dinner waiting for me when I get there too, and really excited to get back to my family. How about one last look at Halls Creek overlook here.